Hello, ma'am. Good evening. The topic that I am going to present is about the novel The Plague, written by Albert Camus. He was one of the most influential writer in 20th century, born in a working class family. He was born near France and most of his life spent in seeing war crimes and wars, which made him very impactful and uh, generous about writing the wars stories and tragic stories like pandemics. Albert Camus was one of the most leading figure of 20th century literature due to his philosophical essays and writing about existentialism and absurdism. He was he wrote many important literature and won Nobel Prize for Literature in 1957. He met with a car accident and died in a very early age. A brief summary about the plague. So the plague is a novel by Albert Camus that is divided into 5 parts. I will explain more in detail about the third part, but in first and second part we saw that the plague concerns an outbreak of bubonic plague in the French Algerian port city of Oran, sometimes in the 1940s. The first person narrator is not known, but he is a doctor called Bernard Rux, and Rux notices that the sudden appearance of dying rats around the town, and soon thousands of rats are coming out in the open to die. The public grows panicked, and the government finally arranges a daily cremation of rat bodies. Soon after, the rat epidemic disappears, and many people started dying. Like one of the Rux known person called M. Michael, who died in his building, comes down with a strange fever and dies. Uh, more cases appear, and Dr. Rux and his colleague Dr. Castle believe that this disease is a bubonic plague. They urged the government to take action, but the authorities were very negligent about it. But somehow, when the death tale rises so high that the plague is impossible to deny, and they started taking actions. Finally, they quarantined the city Oran. The town people react to their sudden isolation with feelings of exile and longing for absent loved ones, with each individual assuming that their uh, their problem is very tough and most unique. And many people starting reacting in a strange way. So the part 3 of the story started in the mid August, where the plague of the situation due to the plague has been deteriorated significantly. With the plague now at its peak, the narrative continues to explore the human response to this relentless crisis through the lens of various characters, each representing different facets of human experience and philosophy. Dr. Bernard Rux, increasingly consumed by his medical duties, coordinating the fight against the plague with a sense of divine duty. So the town is in lockdown and with no entries or exits allowed, creating an atmosphere of agreement and despair. The death toll rises and the burial of the dead becomes a grim routine. They were not getting a respectful death. Or like community crematorium was being conducted, due to which many chaos happened in the city, with mass graves becoming the norm due to the sheer volume of casualties. The focus on Dr. Yu's team brings us closer to the characters working tirelessly against the plague, like Jean Torrio, Rux's friend, keeps a detailed journal providing insights into the daily struggles and moral reflections. In one line in the part 3, it says that when this kind of act happen in any country or in any civilization, we never prepared for war or epidemic, and it is not about the act of heroism. Most of the people should work in decency. They should not show the heroism. This is the main theme of this story. We saw many casualties, people showing the chaos, not knowing how to react, and this led to significant deterioration of the situation, and eventually many people died. But in the same story, in the same part, we see the solidarity, like when the Raymond Rambert, who was the journalist who tried to escape and go to Paris, but initially seeks to escape the city. But however, after several failed attempts, and witnessing the suffering around him, he decides to stay and join the fight against the plague. His transformation from self interest to solidarity with the people of Oran underscores themes of human connection and altruism in the crisis. Meanwhile, the character of Cotard the smuggler, who was also a thief and tried to suicide previously, thrives in the chaos, benefiting from the black market that has emerged. His relief at the plague's continuation contrasts starkly with other people's despair, showcasing how some might find personal gain or solace in widespread misfortune. So the part ends with the plague at its height, the hospital overwhelmed, and the character's resilience tested. Rick's wife also died in another city, adding personal loss to his public battle. The narrative incentivizes the sense of siege and the moral and physical exhaustion of those combating the plague, setting the stage for the eventual decline of the disease in the subsequent part. Through this, Camus explores themes of human endurance, the absurdity of suffering, and the silent heroism of ordinary people in extraordinary ordinary circumstances. So, Reux knows after in the end, Dr. Uh, Reux concludes that the citizens of Oran have found the will to survive and support each other. The town people quickly return to their normal lives,